Well, one ANC veteran says President Cyril Ramaphosa must take a break. A lack of transparency on the Phala Phala Farm saga, rising corruption trends, and silence from the ANC's top structures on these issues. Just some of the reasons why Mavuso Msimang says just that. He says these matters are enough to have Ramaphosa vacate office. In fact, Mavuso Msimang joins us this morning via our video link. So it's great to have you with us on the program. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. And again, you've cited numerous reasons for why the president should step aside. Corruption is high up on that agenda, but actually you say it's because of how he's handled the Phala Phala saga that he should do so.
Oh, Michelle, you're starting to fade now.
Can you hear me now?
No, you just faded for a few seconds. I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Well, welcome once again. Let me try and ask you that question again. You've cited numerous reasons for why the president should, in fact, be stepping aside. But Phala Phala, you say, and his handling of his farm saga and that alleged robbery is actually the reason why he should do so.
Yes, absolutely. As I explained in the article, the real issue for me is how he handled the scandal, really, in Phala Phala on his farm. He did not give clear answers as to what happened, and I do believe that as president of the country, whom we hold to a high standard, has to have been open with the nation and made it quite clear that whatever has been reported by Fraser, there's nothing for the nation to worry about. His answers do not give us that assurance.
Yeah. The issue of a moral compass is something that you mentioned a number of times in a letter that is, if I may say, quite scathing in its assessment of the African National Congress, this moment in our democracy, and of President Cyril Ramaphosa himself. This issue of a moral compass, and we've seen it in the UK over the past week, haven't we? Cabinet members in Boris Johnson's government resigning en masse because they just couldn't be associated with what Boris Johnson represented as Prime Minister of the country. That issue of a moral compass, where do we rank in terms of that in South Africa?
Well, you know, we had the period previous to President Ramaphosa coming into office typically typified by corruption. The Zondo and other commissions testify to that. And the whole nation knows that there's been a lot of corruption in the country, and it involved, unfortunately, people in the ANC, in leading positions in the ANC. The president comes in with a commitment, a strong commitment, in words anyway, that he would do away with corruption. Now, although there are institutions such as the NPA and the National Prosecuting Authority, SIU, who deal with those things at the party level, there's been a lot of indiscipline. And there have been allegations of corruption. When that happens, the person in charge ought to call the people to book, bring them to book, and really make the world know that he does not, condone their activities. In other words, really, I would, if I were him, have fired the people who have either been grossly indisciplined or have been implicated in corruption. That is the moral compass that one is talking about. You can't, there is something called the step-aside rule in the African National Congress. It's been refined now to make sure that, you don't accidentally remove people who may be innocent. I think the Integrity Commission of the ANC, which, by the way, whose role is that of recommending rather than making a final decision, should be peopled. And I think there are people of good moral standing, and I have no doubt that those people exist, and that they should be empowered to make an assessment of any position that's presented to them, any case presented to them, and decide that the person must move aside or not. Because as long as you have people who are implicated as strongly as, say, Zweli Mkhize was, as strong as the other two people what's her name, the lady in Gumede and other people.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't lead a party that has people like that who continue to hold office. You talk about a moral compass. You can't say you were suspended only because of the accusation that relates to 300,000 rand in theft allegation. But you are not. You're still free to stand for another seat, public seat in the organization. How can a person with that kind of record, that kind of suspicion, be allowed? So that's why I'm trying to say that this is being treated as a technical matter.
Yeah.
The whole point of stepping aside is to make sure that your presence does not bring the organization into disrepute.
On the issue of Zandile Gumede, it's actually 340 million rand. That's
I'm so sorry.
That's the wastewater tender that is at issue there, and almost 3,000 charges that she and her co-accused face in court. But what you're saying about the Integrity Commission is that it shouldn't be making recommendations, if I'm hearing you correctly. It should be making decisions on whether these people should step aside.
Correct, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the President...
So the President said he would have, if in due course, he would go to the Integrity Commission of the ANC if he had to. So I'm saying, what's that? This person is accountable to South Africa, and his first responsibility is to assure everybody that, listen, I'm the President who said I'll do away with corruption, or do my best to deal with it. And then you say, I'll go to the Integrity Commission. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. In your piece that you wrote over the past couple of days, you talk about, the saga that we've been through over the past 10 to 15 years in the country, the rot of state capture, how it emptied out our SOEs and our other organizations like SARS, like Transnet, PRASA, Eskom, etc. And there is a line here which I find so incredibly scathing and chilling, where you say, through all of this period of thievery, placid members of the ANC National Executive, bar a distinguished, if pitifully small minority, maintained a chilling silence. Has any of that changed? Have we learned anything from that?
Not in action. Definitely not in action. We stay with people, I give examples, who serve on behalf of the ANC in Parliament, and they head up portfolio committees. Surely that should not be allowed if your commitment is to ensure that the image of your organization is not tainted. And when people stand aside, they are not condemned. It's universal. You say, listen, I'll stand aside until my case is cleared.
It's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. In due course, I'll prove to you that you were wrong. This allegation was wrong. They stay there. And I mean, I count the whole range of people sitting there as deputy ministers, and all of that. They are there, and they are known, exposed by Zondo, and even before Zondo came on the scene, it was known that there would be people who accepted money. Somebody accepted money from UOH because they were in need of it. The same person accepted money from Saudi because ANC sometimes pays its people late. How does a person who is so prone to begging go to a department as security, for instance, where people pay a lot of money to know what's happening in the affairs of the country?
And you are, of course, talking about the Deputy State Security Minister, Zizi Kodwa, in that instance. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, for people who are arguing, if President Cyril Ramaphosa were to step aside, what is the alternative? for those who are saying and throwing about the argument that there is no one else. What do you say to that?
I don't know that there is no one else, to be very honest with you. I don't know how. I am trying to understand what the Constitution requires. But I'm saying, really seriously, the ANC is as committed as it says it is to serving the public. What they would do would be, I would say what we would do, but I don't have the power to do that. But I think what the leadership needs to do is to find a person, and I don't think the Constitution disbars that, who is respected, I guess who is not in factions, and ask that person to lead the organization. They would probably have to go to Parliament if they must lead the country, because until 2024 the ANC is in charge. And such an individual would actually bring the freshness. Hopefully, they would need to make an undertaking and say that they are not in this position to continue to be president, by chance. They'll continue in the presidency until things are resolved. That's a solution that is very practical and have no names to offer.
I was about to ask you exactly that, whether someone is on your mind.
Oh, there are plenty. Actually, there are plenty. Some are known, others less known. Any person with the right capacity, competence, education, and integrity can become a president, a minister in the country. They all can, as long as they get the support of the people. So some are not in prominence. By the way, there are lots of people, ANC people, who have not resigned, but have stayed away because they feel they are unable to deal with the current situation. If we were serious and committed to service to the people, we would find these people and ask them to lead the country.
Are voices such as yours, as an ANC veteran, and I'm sure many, many others, who are trying to raise these issues within the governing party, are your voices heard within the ANC?
We asked, I think it was President Ruma's time, 2016, that there be a meeting, a consultative conference, which would bring all members together and non-members who were considered suitable patriots, to come and assist the ANC find the way forward. We were already experiencing difficulties, losing metros and so on, clearly because of the corruption that had been most prominently associated with the Guptas. We did not succeed. They didn't reject it outright, but clearly it didn't happen. Right now, many veterans who wish, and I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody when I say this, presidents should step aside, but many veterans who wish they could talk to the leadership, and their authority, by the way, is moral. They have no legislative, there's no institutional authority within the ANC to do what we're being asked to do. But people, if their authority based on long-term service, non-involvement in crazy things and corruption and so on, were to be respected, they would bring people together and sort out the problem.
Certainly. Mavuso Msimang, let me thank you for your time this morning. ANC veterans speaking to us about a whole range of things, but specifically about why President Cyril Ramaphosa must step aside with immediate effect.